Welcome back, my beauties. We are back for a very important topic. Out, finished, finito, no more canned lights. Let me tell you what's happening in the interior design lighting world. Follow me. Would you believe that canned lights, which was the norm for the last 40 years or longer, and every high-end interior had canned lights, and then of course they switched them to LED canned lights, etc. That is no longer the norm. In fact, we are ripping them out of projects. We are replacing them with much more interesting lighting that create an ambiance, that create the right shadows, that create the right looks. And if you've got them, look, I've got them too. We might just want to tape them up and change our lighting. Can light were prevalent in kitchens because it's an area that requires a lot of lighting. But with the invention of LED strip lights and very specific lights that will help you with your tasks, you no longer need to have the very unattractive can lights above in the kitchen. So instead, look at this beautiful, fantastic, gorgeous kitchen. Do you see canned lights? No. Was that done purposely? Yes. This is where I'm going with this. We are having these gorgeous pendant lights that are coming down, and then you've got the task LED light strips that will help you with your everyday tasks. Also, natural light is coming in, which is really a big part of the new designs and the new architecture that you are seeing. People are using oversized windows and oversized doorways, and the framing is minimal, having metal windows are minimal, and so natural light is really taking center stage, as is all these new light technologies that we are going to be seeing and incorporating into our homes. And I want to dive into that a little bit more so that you guys can duplicate this in your home. Here's another kitchen example. You've got sconces in the kitchen. This is a new phenomenon where we are now making the kitchen feel more like a living room and more of a cozy space where you've got sconces. It's very natural and normal now to have perhaps a table lamp even on a countertop. I know Tom Ford does it, and if Tom Ford does it, I want to do it. If you desire a very illuminated space, which some of us do, some of us like it very lit up, well, what we're doing instead of can light is that we are doing flush mounts. Flush mount lighting directly gets installed right to the drywall, right to your ceiling, and creates a very different effect than the old canned lights. Even the old small recessed lights that you would normally see are really dated now, and instead we are bringing in these gorgeous flush mounts that have not only visual interest, but they also serve the purpose of illuminating a space in a way that's more like ambient lighting rather than track hospital lighting. Here's another example of the task light we talked about. The lighting from LED light strips can be very, very powerful and very even. So it makes cooking and it makes tasks a lot more interesting and a lot more convenient, and the fact that you can leave certain lights on in the dark and create a very beautiful scenery. I would be remiss if I didn't mention, if you're interested in a consultation, we can do an entire consultation on your home or a quick 20-minute chat regarding any issues that you may have with your home. I've had so many of you reach out, and we've walked through your home with the ability to zoom and look at different things. Some of you have even prepared an entire presentation, and we've gone through it, and I've picked furniture for you. What good use of 20 minutes, so that if you are lost, I can certainly help and guide you. You can easily book those consultations by clicking the Zoom link in the description section. So here is another example of what we are doing instead of the canned light. So for those of us who love to illuminate artwork, sculptures, certain pieces of furniture that are important to us, and really create a mood and a sense of customization. You know, many of the homes that we build for our clients and spaces we design are very customized homes for their needs. We don't just, this is not a cookie cutter project. This is not a cookie cutter event. What we do is that we come up with solutions for the way the clients live and the way that they might live in 5 or 10 years. So what we're doing is we are doing these metal grooves within the walls, within the ceilings, and what we're doing is that we're recessing in tracks. These minimal, gorgeous, actually architecturally beautiful recessed tracks that are flush with the drywall can allow you to pop in fixtures over time, and these fixtures can be rotated 360, 180, however you wish, onto objects in the room that need illumination. Here's a living room. I wanted to give you this example. This is by far one of my favorite ways of lighting a living room at the moment, is to have these really gorgeous, architecturally significant flush mounts that are placed in specific areas of your living room or your den or anywhere in the house where you need illumination. And they can also rotate. So let's say you decide to change your layout. Well, you can do so without worrying about how the light hits the room. Having even lighting in an entire room actually is not exactly what you're looking for. You want people to come into your home and feel a sense of customization. You want them to look at certain things that are in a room with dim lighting. So for example, if you're walking from the entrance of the home into the back of the home, you're not going to light up the whole house evenly. Then it just looks very bland and very boring. Instead, you are going to dictate what you want your guests to look at. And this creates that uber customizable home look that allows you to direct the gaze of your guests in the areas that are important to you. Imagine if you have a beautiful sculpture that you would like illuminated. So instead of lighting the entire room, you will illuminate just the sculpture, or you will illuminate the art. Having your lighting on different switches is also very important. For those of you that are just going into building a new home, make sure that you separate all of your art light from the rest of the ambient lighting, because there are many occasions where we just light some of the sculptural pieces and some of the art in a room and nothing else. And this is by far one of the best tricks that billionaires are using. They are not lighting their entire homes with can lightings, and if they're living well, you should live well too. Here's another example of a living room. Again, we have flush mounts only. These are going to rotate onto whether it be a seating area. You've got that gorgeous little rust-colored seat and ottoman. You can illuminate that area. You also have another chair in another corner. You can illuminate that. You can illuminate different spaces in a room without evenly illuminating, and you will see the transformation in that room. It is literally night and day. I always say that if there's anything that you need to spend money on at all whatsoever in a home, it's your lighting. It is the most important thing you can do in creating an ambiance, because nobody likes to walk into a home and have glaring white lights on them as if they're in a hospital or in a warehouse. It just ruins the vibe. It ruins everything. And in order to do this correctly, I urge you, even if you don't have the wherewithal to, of course, change your canned lights, turn them off and bring in ambient lighting through the use of sconces, through the use of floor lamps, through the use of table lamps, and all sorts of new LED project lights that will help you achieve the look. Another great thing people are doing is that they're just using plain old track lights. I lived in Argentina for a few years, and every home in Argentina had only track lighting. And we're talking some of the most gorgeous townhouses and apartments you've ever seen. Very similar to the style of architecture in Paris. Track lighting is used for a variety of reasons. One, because of the fact that the walls are made of concrete or they're made of brick, and so you really can't put in canned lights. So what you do is you put track lighting. But it has become also a new phenomenon in interior design, where we are putting in track lighting that's black. We are drawing attention to this track lighting. Why? Because there's something about it that screams gallery. There's something about it that screams chic. And not only is it chic in this case, but it's also super utilitarian, because you can pop in and pop out lights as you wish, depending on how your mood and your life changes. Without fail, you can certainly just pop in a pendant light. You can have a chandelier in a room and nothing else. If that chandelier has enough wattage to illuminate the room, that could also be a very good statement. Just as you see in this photo, there are two pendant lights here that really do a great job of illuminating the space and creating the ambient lighting that we are talking about. Here's an example of what not to do. You don't want to have a lot of lighting and turn them all on as if you own stock in Edison. You do not want all of your lights to be on. It's an overload. It's a sensory overload. And chances are the reason why all these lights are on is that they're probably on two switches. And so in order to really illuminate part of the room that you need to illuminate, you have to turn everything on. And then you're just basically wasting electricity. Look at this gorgeous, gorgeous corner little section of what is probably a kitchen. And again, I wanted to point out that there are no canned lights in this space. There is just a giant, beautiful pendant that radiates the most beautiful warm light and creates the exact ambiance that you would like to create when having a dinner party. In an entryway, I always recommend adding sconces because that will also create the ambient lighting you're looking for. Or perhaps like this other entrance where you've got a very beautiful architectural light that is basically the pendant that you love, that speaks to you, that you've sourced somehow, and this is giving visual interest to the space and also will cast a beautiful shadow and a beautiful light onto the foyer. If you have a staircase, trickling pendant lights are always fun to do because that will also create a pattern on the floor and a pattern that could be very fun to look at. So when you are buying your lighting, you do want to ask, you do want to look at them in person, turn them on and see what kind of patterns they create. And those patterns are actually very important because they are going to be dictating a certain look in your home. Architectural lighting in a corner is probably my favorite thing. And this is my aha moment. Oh God, I love it. I love it so much. Find architectural lighting that you love and use them as art/light. Lighting is an art form and lighting should be taken very seriously. And in fact, I take it a little too seriously and I go nuts when I go into, for example, my sister's house and she's got literally 3,500 white light lumens everywhere all over the place. She bought a home that is a beautiful home, customized home, but it has lighting everywhere and everything is on and it gives me a headache, to be honest, and it just doesn't look at all like it should. And this is how you can eliminate that fact by turning those lights off. If you've got them, turn them off and instead bring in these sculptural floor lamps that you can illuminate corners with. Dark corners are always a little bit strange, so this is a way that you can bring in these floor lamps as you can see in these 3 examples. Here's what not to do in a bathroom. This is not going to work. This is just too 90s. And in fact, there's different ways of lighting the room so that you can have the correct lighting that you need even to do your makeup. You can have an LED mirror that has the lighting that is necessary to do your makeup or to see your face, but we don't have to light the entire room like it is, again, a laboratory. Instead, why don't we drop in pendant lights? Pendant lights that are visually interesting in a powder room are always a lot more fun and probably the only lights you turn on, in fact, in a powder room. Here's another example with this gorgeous Calicut viola and these pendant lights that are dropping in a primary bathroom. This is a primary bathroom that does not have other lighting sources. So you have to think about where your lighting is coming from, what are your sources of lighting, and then consider bringing in this artisanal light to create the perfect space. Also, asymmetrical pendant lights in a bathroom, in a powder room, are very architectural. I do them in many, many projects. They not only look high-end, but they create the ambient lighting that make the space very artisanal. In summary, don't forget your corners. Don't overlight a room, not too bright. You want to consider 2,800 lumens. That's very important, which is essentially a warm white. Warm white is key. Make sure you write that down, save it. And I want to know what lighting effect interests you the most and if you're going to incorporate them in your project. I love you guys and I can't wait to see you again next week on this channel, The Red Elevator.